Main event of the evening, Randy Orton against Big Show for the WWE Championship. They had set this up ahead of time that there wasn't going to be any kind of interference whatsoever. No cheating. Nobody was going to come out to save Randy Orton. They even had a backstage segment where he talked to Charles Robinson, the referee, and he said, how far we've gone back, and like what did this, like they were like best buddies or something. Like he was talking to Edge or Evolution members or whatever. The long-standing history between Randy Orton and Charles Robinson, who said that he was going to do whatever the authorities said to do. And Charles Robinson comes into play here when there was this awkward part where he somehow suffered like a leg injury because he got caught in the ropes or whatever. I wasn't really paying too much attention at the time because I really didn't think that this was that entertaining of a match, so I was tuning out a little bit at this point. But when I looked back and everybody's like, oh, Robinson's injured and whatever, and I get to see what happened. That was very awkwardly done. I think they could have done that a lot better. If they were going to make him spend that time where he's not able to pay attention to the match, they could have had Big Show go for a WMD and Randy Orton duck and him punch him instead, or he could have done like a drop kick or something. Anything that would have been a lot more interesting. Hell, a Big Show spear would have really sold that. But the weird thing with the leg in the ropes, that was very awkward. And even more awkward, the interference comes when Triple H and Stephanie and Kane just kind of come out to watch the match, and that provides enough of a distraction for Big Show to lose and get punted in the head, and then come back the next night because the punt isn't that powerful anymore, I guess. But Randy Orton wins via pinfall, and we'll talk about what happened right after that, after we just review this match. But match-wise, what do you think about this, Peyton? Positive, negative?
It was crap. It was awful. I mean, I think a lot of us knew this was going to be awful too because of the two guys you got going in there. Randy Orton's boring. Big Show is past his prime. They're both capable of having fine matches, but usually with other people. These aren't two guys I think I would have expected to put out there in front of each other. It really dragged most of it. It was really slow, and the ending was. I think they could have went what they had and added more to it. If something happened after the match other than just John Cena coming out and raising his belt. I mean, I think that creates intrigue, and that's fine. They could have done that the following night on Raw. But I don't know. I'm not very happy with it. And I think this is a case of the main event or the closing moment of a pay-per-view affecting the whole pay-per-view for a lot of people, because overall I think Survivor Series was a fine pay-per-view. This main event sucked, though. This definitely dragged down the whole show.
Brahan?
Didn't care for it. Everything what Payton says times infinity. Orton's boring in terms of a champion. I really believe that as being the predominant heel of the company, I just don't think he's doing a great job at being that. As for Big Show, they built him up to be this big thing. They're creaming over the fact that this guy is huge and that short guys don't cut it for buy rates. And it just proves to you that with story and build, if you don't do a proper payoff, then people are just going to start tuning out. And for me, it's really making it hard for me to be a wrestling fan anymore. The product at the moment is just... I'll go more into the rant later on in terms of that, but the match itself just doesn't help matters at all. They just need to start focusing on and building and getting things back to normal. Hopefully, with the whole Cena versus Orton thing, we'll get that.
Well, that's probably their mentality. They probably thought, you know what, it doesn't matter if this match sucks or not. We're going to give them something interesting to talk about at the end of the night, and that's the only thing that people will really care about. And that was John Cena coming out and teasing that they were going to unify the title between Randy Orton and John Cena. And my first reaction was, nah, they're just doing this for the hell of it, to get people talking. And over the next few months, we're going to see something else happen, which I really was thinking was going to be Sheamus returning as part of the Authority and challenging John Cena. And lo and behold, immediately when it comes to Monday Night Raw, they just go straight to it and just say, you know what, we're just going to have a unification match at TLC between these two. And that's pretty big news. I mean, that doesn't justify having a shit match at the end of the night. But at the very least, that accomplished what I think that they were hoping, which would be, at the very least, we'll give them a talking point. Maybe they'll forget about it.
We didn't. People didn't forget about it. I didn't forget about it. I came from that pay-per-view. I actually didn't watch the Raw the next night because of that pay-per-view.
What about you,
That and
Peyton? Is that something that kind of makes you ease the pain a little bit?
No, and I actually really enjoyed Raw the following night. I feel like it made up for it a lot, and I think like I said, I think the pay-per-view overall was a fine pay-per-view. It's just the main event sucked, and I think that's souring a lot of people for it.
Well, I think overall, I mean, there were some highlights to it. I really liked the idea of the Roman Reigns spearing the shit out of everybody. I thought that the other elimination match wasn't that bad. I thought that we had some good talking points here and there, but I think the parts that were supposed to really deliver a lot, especially when it comes to the World Heavyweight title match and the WWE title match, they fell flat. And you should be able to depend on those two matches above everything as the two that really deliver. So that's a disappointment. So this is by no means going to be my choice for pay-per-view of the year, but at the same time, it's not going to be my choice for the worst.
No, but that's also because it's been a very, 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 very shitty year for pay-per-views.
It really has. I mean, this is struggling. When we come to the best and worst awards at the end of the year, that's going to be tough to figure out what was the best one.
I think that's probably SummerSlam.
Maybe
Spoilers.
Money in the Bank. Maybe we had a couple good ones here and there, but they weren't even really.
See, I hated
great.
Money in the Bank. So.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to go with Battleground for the worst.
Oh, yeah.
So
Battleground, I think, is going to go into the annals of some of the worst pay-per-views of all time, up there with December to Dismember, No Mercy 2007. Think that's going to be up there. That's going to be the evil trifecta now.
Now, you really didn't like this pay-per-view at all. Is this a potential worst for you, Burhan?
Not really. I've seen worse. Anything that TNA put on.
They don't count because we already just said they would just win worst for everything.
You could literally measure this pay-per-view against TNA's best and still come out top. It has been a really shitty year for pay-per-views. So I could probably pick something out of the WWE's like cesspool and find that even more appalling than this one. I just felt like it was just a throwaway pay-per-view. They just didn't. There was no rhyme or reason, no thought behind it. They were just like, here you go.
Well, here's hoping that TLC does actually deliver, and we're not just talking about the unification and nothing else. But
it won't. It'll be built around that unification, but it
probably
won't
will.
deliver.
But who knows? Maybe they'll give us a good one. TLCs tend to be at least halfway entertaining.
Any money that they're going to swerve us.
Oh, yeah, there's got to be something like that. I mean, we'll be talking about that when it comes to our predictions, which are coming up 2 weeks from now, I think, if I remember correctly, maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. That's going to be around the same time that we do the monthly mailbag, so remember to send that in. And we're going to finish this up now with the last part of this whole episode. We're going to recap what we did with the Fantasy League, and we've got a little shakeup to do. So check back, part 12.